For my Scarecrow cosplay, here was the reference photo I was getting inspiration from. I had washed my face prior to this, so right now I'm putting on some moisturizer. It's always good to moisturize after washing your face. This is me rubbing it all in because I didn't want anything to look weird underneath. So at this time, I'm pulling out my Selena Spooky Boo. Do you want to watch a scary movie? This is where I use the gray and the black. And I even used a little bit of the orange in here as well for some of the orange spaces of my makeup. Right now, I'm just wiping down some brushes before I add my primer to my eyes. This thing has lasted me very, very long because I only use a little bit. And here I am using the mirror on the eyeshadow palette. That's like one of the things I love the most is an eyeshadow palette with a mirror, because you don't always have access to a mirror. So it's nice to have a makeup palette with a mirror. And I used a little bit of a thicker brush as I started with the black for my eyelids for this makeup. So I wanted to make sure there was lots on there so I could just pack it on the eyelids to start with that Scarecrow eye makeup look. Afterwards, I took some of the gray to blend it out on a fluffier brush just to extend it and make it a little bit bigger. I even did a little bit underneath the eyes as well, just to kind of bring it all in together for the Scarecrow eye makeup look. And I think it turned out really good. As you see at the end of the video, there's a few pictures of the makeup look. Here I am priming my face with one of the She Glam primers. This is like the really good grip gel primer. Absolutely love this, and it always works really well for my makeup in any type of heat, any type of weather. My makeup stays nice and looking crisp and clean and pretty. And now I'm going in with my foundation. This is a drugstore foundation. I will list it down below as well. One of my kids already made my beauty blender wet. And I like to try to make sure the primer is completely dry before I put on the foundation. This also helps with like any movement of makeup and stuff like that as well. So I do the whole face with this and just tap it all in with the beauty blender. At this point, one of my little eyeshadow pans fell out of the palette. And that's why I was like, oh my God, no! But it was okay. It was totally fine. It didn't break. It didn't make a mess on my bed. So that was good. Now I go in with my Essence concealer and conceal all those little areas that I like to brighten up on my face. And yeah, I put in a few extra areas just because I was being a scarecrow and I wanted some areas to be a little bit brighter than normal just because, hey, I'm a scarecrow. Why not? This is when I pulled out one of my highlight palettes. This is from the Barbie Miami collaboration with ColourPop, and I thought this would be the perfect one. I ended up adding a different one afterwards as well, but this also has a mirror. Love, love the mirrors. And then for my setting powder, I use something with a little bit of a pigment to it. Typically, I use more of a white powder. for my setting powder, but here, because of the Scarecrow look, you wanted to look more, I don't know, colored, because, you know, the burlap would be more colored and textured. So that's why I went with setting powder with more of a color to it for this look. I also like to use a powder puff first, and then I go in with a larger, fluffier brush to set the rest of the face and other areas, and yeah, it just works out really well. I love that rose fluffy brush. It's one of my favorite brushes. This is when I decide I'm gonna go in with some orange for my face. I went in with the Miami Barbie palette. It had a beautiful orange in it that worked perfectly for the Scarecrow look I was going for. Very pigmented. I was pleasantly surprised, and it looked really cute when it was all done. So this is when I decided to do the nose. I thought I was going to use something that was more glittery, so I decided to use the NYX glue, the priming glue. I use it for the eyes when I put glitter on my eyes, and the glitter lasts forever when I use this stuff. So I thought, oh, this would be perfect to make sure my nose doesn't budge as a Scarecrow. And I went in with the Do You Want to Watch a Scary Movie? But it really wasn't as pigmented as I was hoping. So I did go in with the same orange as my cheeks afterwards. But it was locked right in because I used the NYX glitter glue. Once again, that darn highlight. I can't get the stupid thing open, but I eventually got it and started highlighting my cheeks and stuff like that. And then, like I said, I do go in with another highlight later because I really wanted to shimmer a little bit. Then my son comes in with a fart gun. What I'm doing here is doing the stitch line work on my nose for the Scarecrow look. It actually turned out really good. I could not find my black lipstick, so I'm putting on some gray, and then I'm adding some of the black eyeshadow from Do You Want to Watch a Scary Movie palette from Selena Spooky Boo, and then lining my lips with that. I also went in and lined a little bit with some waterproof eyeliner as well, and that worked really, really good for what I was going for. And I went in really thin at first when I did all the mouth line work stitches, and then I went in later and thickened it all up. And I think because thickening it up, it actually looked more prominent and looked a little bit more noticeable than if I would have kept it thinner. So I was very happy with how the look turned out, and I was continually looking at the reference photo just to make sure I was on the right track for the lips, because I wasn't entirely sure what I was going and where I was going with it. So it's nice to have a little bit of a reference photo for inspiration to help out when you're doing cosplay makeup. This could be a part as a cosplayer where you're questioning your makeup choices and your look. Because if you mess up here, you're screwed, you know? But it all turned out in the end, which I was very thankful for, because I was totally getting anxious at this point, especially when I started doing the stitching. And I'm like, okay, do I need to make it thicker? Do I need to make it thinner? Should I? Oh, wait, I made it too thick. You know, it just all goes through your head when you're doing this type of stuff, right? It did turn out really, really cute, though. And I was very happy with the final look. Here's when I wanted to add something fun and whimsy. This came from one of the Hocus Pocus collaboration sets from ColourPop, and it is a little spider stamper. I should have done this after I added the extra glitter, because in the end it just became like a blob on my face, which is so disappointing because when I used it the first time for a look, it turned out amazing. So I was kind of disappointed that the spider stamp didn't work out like I was hoping it was going to. Here I am throwing on some mascara. I always like to use the e.l.f. mascara. It like e.l.f. lash extender mascara. It works so good. I'm obsessed with it. And this is where I decided I was gonna like make my eyelashes a little bit thicker, and I was using my tweezers to kind of like bring some of my lashes together and make them look chunkier, because I thought, well, a Scarecrow's eyelashes won't be perfect. So I did the top and bottom lashes all the same way. And this is when I decided to add more highlighter and ruin the spider stamp. Oh my goodness. This is when I questioned the choices I have made. The look still looked good, but I was still kind of upset with myself. But as you can see, I'm using the NYX glitter glue. Not glitter glue. Oh my goodness. NYX setting spray, because it was a hot one out there. But when we got out there, it wasn't that bad. But here it is.